Hey there. Hey. I don't know. Just can't start my dream. I don't know. Lost the desire to do it. I don't know. Become stagnant. All I want to do is just sit here and just watch YouTube and just avoid doing that because it's just, I don't want to do it. But I should definitely work on it. Definitely work on getting this video done because it's not going to do itself, is it? So, have you come over and sit down with me and let's talk about getting over stagnation. I'm sure all of us have had this big idea we've thought of that has the potential to completely change our life. But right when we try and start that dream, we just seem to be stuck. When it comes time to actually start working on your dream, you just can't seem to bring yourself to actually do it. You had this whole plan written out in your head, but your mind just goes blank when it's time to actually get to work. So you just go back to laying in your bed and procrastinate yet another day. Why is it that when we are faced with these real moments in our life where it's real action, do we just freeze? Are we incapable of making real change in our life? Definitely not. But the answer to this dilemma actually makes a lot more sense once we talk through it. So let's do just that. The most glaring reason why we become stagnant when we are faced with real action is just the fact that it is incredibly overwhelming. You're going to the situation probably not knowing what you're doing and also learning in the process. You might have this whole plan written out in your head, but as we've all heard, it is easier said than done. Once it comes time to actually do the work, it is very easy to become overwhelmed almost immediately. I know you want to conquer the largest hill right off the bat, but how about you just focus on the first step up the first hill first? Remember, Rome was not built in a day. So what's the smallest thing you can do to progress? Let's use writing a book as an example. In this situation, what is the smallest thing you can do to progress? That would be just to start writing. It doesn't matter if you even know what you're writing about. It doesn't matter if you don't even know what the book is going to be about. You'll figure that stuff out as you write. It is more important just to start the journey, even if you don't know where you are going. So whatever it is that you're trying to begin, don't worry about figuring out all the existential problems that come with it. Just begin. Just start the journey. You aren't going to have all the answers, but that's okay. Think back to what it was like when you were first learning to drive. When you first started learning in an empty parking lot, I am sure that you were not worried about how to merge onto the freeway, or how to fix a flat tire, or how to fix engine problems. The biggest thing you were probably worrying about is just how to stop and go without being a jerking mess. So instead of trying to merge into the freeway of your dream, how about you just focus on just starting the engine first and get the ball rolling and just start it. Just begin, because then you can figure things out as time goes along. And that will be even better for you because, as I'm sure we all know or have experienced in our life, oftentimes you learn a lot more from the failures than you do from the successes. Because in the failures and in screwing up and in not being perfect, you are allowing yourself to learn and to grow and to actually figure stuff out as you go. So it doesn't matter if you don't know exactly what you're doing. It's just important just to start it. It's not going to be perfect, but as you go, you'll soon start to understand the bigger picture of it and see what your vision actually is for this and be able to actually distill it down into a very good product. And it could be very different than the product you originally had in mind. So now going back to that thought about perfection, especially in this, I know all of us, many of us, want to be perfect in everything we do. Because we think that, if we're not perfect, what's even the point of doing it? If it's not perfect, then, people aren't going to like it, or I'm not going to like it, or it's not going to be good enough, or whatever it is. But see, the thing many of us get wrong about perfection is that you can only perfect something after it has been completed. Because before you complete something, you're just guessing what would make that thing perfect. You don't really know because you're just seeing it out in the limited scope of your own eyes and your own vision. So in order to perfect something, you need to have the feedback on it and have it out in the wild. Really see what people think of it, really, or see what others think of it, your family, your friends, whatever it may be. But if you haven't completed it, you can't really perfect it because it's still a work in progress. It needs to be completed before you can perfect it. Because before, you're still working on it. So it's never going to be perfect if it's still being worked on. So if you want it to be perfect at some point, it needs to be completed. Say, let's look at many other companies, say Nike, for example. Nike first started out by the dude literally took a waffle iron and put the sole of the shoe in the waffle iron and then sold it, because other companies didn't have that same thing. Say Oakley, who makes sunglasses and glasses. He first started selling motocross grips out of the back of his Civic, because he was at motocross events. No one had similar stuff to him, so he created this material that would get stickier when wet. And then that led to their other sunglasses and stuff that have the same technology built into that. So, when they first started, and both of those companies are massive companies. And say, also Apple started out of his garage, same with Microsoft. Started out of the garage, just making stuff. It was not perfect, but now those companies are multi-billion-dollar companies that are household names now. It took them a very, very long time before they even got to what they would view as perfection. They just started. They just started making stuff. They didn't really care what it was. They just started just making it. It didn't really matter what they were making, but they knew, there's not a market for this. People want this. This could be useful. So let's go and make it. Get my waffle iron and make a shoe out of it. And then now Nike is the billion-dollar company we know today. So, it's really important just to start the journey. Just begin. Just start it. And don't worry about the perfection. The perfection will come as you go along. It's not going to be there right off the bat. So just start it. That's why I started this. I started it just to begin, just to start something and see where it goes. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, but that's okay, because as I'm doing this, I am learning as I go, and I'm creating a product that I am personally happy with. I know it's not going to be something that's going to be perfect for a couple years, but I'm just starting. I'm just beginning and just doing it. So, if you're still working on something, then you're still seeing it through the very narrow view of your own eyes. So, again, with all these other companies and stuff, they had to put it out into the real world and see what would make that thing perfect. And, there were many, many iterations of it and many tries. I mean, say for Oakley, their first sunglasses, he literally took snow goggles, took out the lens out of snow goggles, tied some coat hanger metal to them, and created the first prototype of the first M-frame Oakley. Now they're very different from then. But, I'm sure his vision at the beginning is very different than the vision he has now in, creating the glasses that they were creating, or same with Nike or whatever. So just by starting, you'll see the vision start to bloom and evolve and, become this thing that you couldn't even imagine was going to happen at first. So then once it actually does become that thing that you just saw it, this whole thing bloomed out of it, then it becomes something beautiful at that point, because now you've created this you've created this thing that sure was not like the initial vision you had, but it became this new thing that even was better than you even could have hoped. So really all I'm trying to get at is just start. Just begin. It's not going to be perfect, but in failure, that's when we learn. That's when we grow. That's when we learn what works and what doesn't work. Because, if you're just trying just to have everything be great on the first bat, you're not really going to learn a whole lot, because you don't know what doesn't work and what does work. Because you're learning out what does work. But if you learn what doesn't work, then you can tinker with it and change things and, fine tune down your product to actually create this whole new thing. So just begin. So the last thing I want to say about this whole kind of perfection thing is, a lot of the time when people lose a spark in something they loved, so when they first started the dream, they loved it, but then as time went on, they started not like it as much, kind of loathe doing it. A lot of that just comes from they just got away what made them first love it in the first place, because then it became this, this whole other thing, and they just didn't really like what it was going. So it really helps to come into the space from a space of pure creative curiosity, because then as you're creating something, you can see it start to bloom in front of your eyes and become something that is even better than you had hoped. Because then when you're going to it, it's kind of this, this fun thing every time of, when you're starting this thing, it's kind of like like you're going at it with curiosity. What could this thing make? What could come out of this? What can I do with this? Instead of just, I just need to sit down and make something, whatever. Because then you sit down and you actually start doing it, and you start really getting into it, and a lot of your passion starts to come out in it by that creative curiosity. So it's really helpful to come into any of these things with a sense of this curiosity. So I hope this video has helped you, and hope it has found you well. And please let me know down in the comments if it has, and give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone else. New uploads will be up every Monday at 9 a.m. PST, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Also, make sure that you go over and follow my social media, link down below. I post some daily boosts to your day just to kind of, keep the ball rolling. Also, make sure to check out my website. Links for that down below. You keep up with everything Gray Method there, and also sign up for our weekly newsletter that is packed with a selection of quotes, wisdom, actions, and even recipes and workouts. So, like I said, links for all that is in the description below. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.